Hi fellow beaders, it's JP and I have my new Speed Stats Sunday tutorial ready for you. I'm actually wearing the earrings, so if you guys can see those, I will give you a close-up in just a second, but I have one quick little announcement, and it's about my new membership site. I know many of you signed up. Some of you signed up for the free trial. So it's the link is www.createforever.com, and I have a link in the description box. Just look below where it says show more. So this is perfect if you're a beginner and you're left-handed. It was designed or created because when I was a beginner, there wasn't much out there for us to learn. And it's hard enough to learn, it's hard enough as a beginner, and then having to reverse the instructions was really difficult. And for the longest time, I couldn't even do right angle weave. It was one that kept stumping me, and then I had that little, aha moment, and then it all made all sense. But it took a while. So I'm trying to make that easier for you, especially if you're a lefty. So I hope you guys will join. It's up and ready to go. There's lots of lessons already there. So the way I've designed it is that you guys start off with the basics. I talk about beads and thread, and we have lessons on herringbone stitch, peyote stitch, netting, right angle weave, of course, because I had so much trouble with it. I got to put that in there. And my newest lesson that's going to be coming out. So I put out a new lesson every week, and it's going to be this necklace, and this is the chevron stitch. So this is what you're going to be learning. It's coming out tomorrow. And so if you're already signed up, this is what you guys are going to be looking to see. It's a really pretty necklace. It's simple, so you'll be able to do it. And again, I stick to beads that you're probably going to have in your stash. I will build on your skills, and you are going to learn how, it's going to get more and more advanced as we go. So if you stick with me, your skills are going to advance. You're going to learn the stitches, and you're going to learn how to combine stitches and so forth. Okay, well, I'm done with the announcement, so all right, let's get on to the project at hand. So this is going to be a very fun project for you guys. You don't need a lot of beads, and I'm going to give you a close-up in just a second and all the materials that you're going to need. And the list of materials is also in the description box, and I'm trying to give you all the colors that I use, the brands of beads, and so you have all of that information, and you don't have to, write a comment and then wait for me to respond. This way you have it, it's right there, and you guys can get started. So, all right, let's go look at these earrings close up. So here is the close-up of the earrings. And so here was last week's bracelet that we made. It's, as I told you, St Petersburg Stitch. This was actually a very simple project to learn the stitch, and you could make it as a wrap as a wrap bracelet, and so make it longer than what I did. So I did about, so for my wrist I typically do 6 inches. You can do 12 inches and have it wrap around twice, or and then put a clasp on it that way. So it makes kind of a neat looking wrap bracelet. Anyway, so for the earrings, you're going to need an additional bead. So for this, we used 11/0 and 15/0. For this one, you're also going to need 3x4 rondelles that I've used, or you can use 4mm rounds or fire polish. I do not recommend the bicones. They're just not going to sit as nicely as these are sitting, just because of their shape. The bicones are going to have a harder time. So go, if you don't have the rondelles, go with the rounds or the fire polish. So 3mm, 4mm will work. If you have either of those, that's the best way to go about it. You're going to need a total of 14 of the particular beads. I use 7 in each earring. You'll need 2 ear wires. Now, the way we're going to make this is you're actually going to make this portion 4 times. So you're going to make this piece, then this piece, this piece, and this piece, and then we assemble it. And when we assemble it, we make the loop, we assemble it, we create the loop, and we add in the rondelles down here. So each piece that you're making is going to be, it's 8 little units of this. And then the 9th part is the connection part. And so you're going to need about 2 feet of thread per side is what I'm going to suggest. It's partially because you're going to use the thread to go around and connect the pieces together. So at least you want one of these pieces per earring to have a really long tail and then the working end. The other pieces we end up tying off, so it doesn't matter as much, but I hope that's clear. So this is, I would say, an intermediate to advanced project. So it went from being a beginner project to learn the stitch to the earrings becoming a little bit more complicated to make. And partially because we go around the beads multiple times, this loop is a little tricky to understand if you're a beginner, and this isn't so hard to put together, but it's actually this loop that's a little more complicated. Anyway, but if you're a brave beginner and want to try it, I say go for it. I never discourage beginners at all. So I try to be as clear as possible in my instructions, and so hopefully you guys are able to completely follow along with no problem. All right, well, let's get started. So to start our earring, we are going to pick up 6 11-0 beads. Or 6, and so make sure you have a stopper bead and a tail thread, a little bit of it. I would say just enough that you can weave it back in with a needle. So now what you're going to do is skip the first 2 beads, and then beads number 3 and 4, you're going to go back through just those 2 beads. And this will put these 2 beads at the top side by side. And this is what you want to get. Now what you're going to do is pick up, well, here's an optional step before we do that, is you can go back around once more into these beads if you want. I'm not going to do this in this particular tutorial. I did that with the bracelet design that I did last week, but in this one, you're going to have to go back through, especially the beads in the beginning, you're going to be going back through these beads. So I don't actually want to do, I don't actually want to put more thread through these beads and make it more difficult to go back through them when you're tying off and adding other beads. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's an optional step. You can do it if you want, but I'm going to say go ahead and skip that. Now pick up your 15-0 and go down the first 3. Just like that, and then pick up another 15-0 and go across and up into these 2 over here. Just like so. And now you're going to pick up 4 beads, 4 of your 11-0s that is. And you're going to go back through those first 2 new beads that you had on. So you're not going to do anything with this group here. Oops. There we go. So you're just going through those 2. And this is what you get. So make sure you adjust it so that the beads are close together. You don't want them far apart. Now pick up 15-0 and go back down the first 3 beads here. Just like that, and then pick up another 15-0 and go across. And there you have it. So I'm going to show you this one more time. Pick up 4 11-0s, bring those down, go through those first 2 11-0s that you just added, so you're ignoring this. sure these are down towards the work so there's no, gaps or thread showing. Now pick up your 15-0, go back down those first 3 beads, just like so. And, oops, my work is turning. And then you're going to go ahead and pick up another 15-0 and go across. Just like that. So you're going to keep going, and what you're going to do is you're going to go until you have 8 of these little rows done. So I have 3 done. This is number 4. That's the start of it. So you want 8 of those. So I've already made one up. So in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is the start of the 9th over here. And that's what you want. So you want your piece, once you're done, to look like this. And you're actually going to make 4 of these pieces. So it's 2 per earring is what you're going to do. And then we're going to put them together to make the earring. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've got my piece made. So I have my 2 pieces to assemble my earring. So first thing you're going to do is put one of them aside and put a needle on. Take one. I would take the one with the shorter thread, and we're going to go ahead and weave this thread away. So you should be coming out of these 2 beads, and let me just go ahead and turn this. And so if you were building this up, this is, the position your piece would be in. So you're coming out of these 2 beads here. And so the way to weave this, and the way I would do this, is to just, we're not going to tie any knots because that would block the bead. So I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm just going to work my way back down these 4 beads over here. Just like that. So I just went across, and then, so I went across, I was coming out here, went across and went down. Now I'm going to go across this way and go down 2 beads. So the thread is still hidden, and you're staying within the thread path. So what I'm going to do is make my way towards about the middle, and then I'm going to go and make a loop around some of these beads. So I'm going to go across one more time. So I'm coming out of this one here. I'm going to go across and down 2 of these. Then I can go across and go up these 2. And so you're going to find that the 15-0 sometimes will block the needle from going through this 11-0. So you just have to kind of wiggle it out of the way. If you bead tight like me, then you're going to notice that. So that's why I'm having trouble getting the needle. It's not that there's no room. It's just the 15-0 is really tightly against that 11-0. There it goes. Don't worry, it's not going to break the bead. There's plenty of room. Just got to get that 15-0 out of the way. And then go back across. So here's where you're coming out. Go back across over here. And again, if you're beading tight, this might be a little bit difficult. So this is one of the reasons why I said this wasn't probably the best project for a beginner. So it takes a little bit of patience and sort of experience to get this to work. And there we go. So now you can go into this 11-0 down here at the bottom, and then go down into these next 2 beads, or the next 11-0 and the one 15-0 there. So I'm going to stop there and go ahead and cut my thread. And All right, I'm gonna, oh, looks like I don't know where I put my scissors. Okay, that's okay. Here we go, chopped my thread. And so now you're ready to assemble. Now to assemble the top part, you're gonna put your piece like so. And the way to do this is we're going to create the loop for our ear wire. So you are going to pick up 9 11/0 beads. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bring those down to this side, and then you're going to go down into just these 2 beads on the other side. And then go up into the beads back on the other piece. Just like so. And now, as part of the reinforcement, you're going to continue up through this loop. And I'm just going through the beads here. Just going to turn this way. So I'm working upwards. Now you're not going to go all the way down to this last bead on this side here. You're going to come out of the one before it, the second to last. And you want to give everything a good tug so it's nice and close together. Now what we're going to do is go across the bead that's directly opposite. And bring that together. Then go back to that other bead. And so what you're doing is basically connecting these sets of 4 beads that were part of these original 2 pieces and not the add-ons. So the beads above it are the ones that we just added on. So I'm going to go across to this one and I'm going to go down both of them. Like so. And you want to make sure you're pulling your piece close together so that there's no thread showing. Oops. So here's what you're going to have. This is what it's going to look like. Now we're going to go up the first 3, actually the first 4, so you want to come up to these 4. Now this next step is completely optional. What you can do is pick up a 15/0 and go into the next bead. So you don't have to do this if you don't want to. And again, it's just a little decorative edging that I did. Just like that. And so you're just adding 15/0s between all the 11/0s. And they're not gonna really go in between them. They're just gonna sit sort of on top. And they'll pop into place. You'll hear a little click as they pop into place. And it's gonna get tighter as you go. So as I said, tighter as you go because the beads are now closer together. And I believe this is my last one. Oh, I need one more. All right, so this one's going to be hard. So I went down all of the beads here in the group. There, you want to make sure you give it a tug so that the bead sits nice and straight. So that's the other part of this, is this one. There. I wanted to make sure that one was straight too, it wasn't? And now it is. And now they're all in place. Okay, so the ear wire loop is done. Now we got to do the other connection point. But first I'm going to go ahead and weave this, oops, not that one, this one with the needle. Again, this is why this is an advanced project. It looks simple, but there's just a lot of little complicated steps to it. You got multiple threads. And that's done. So here's the finished piece. You want to make sure it looks similar. And get the shaping and adjusting. All right, and then I'll show you in the next part, I'm going to show you how to do this. But first, we got to weave this away. And so we're going to do exactly the same thing we did before. You want to sort of move towards about a few pieces down because we also have these two threads to weave away, so keep that in mind as you go to the beads. So I'm going to go across and down one set. So I'm coming out of this one, I can go across and I can go down. Just like so, and then we're going to go around and so, and I'm going to go make a, basically you're going to make a loop around with this thread, and that secures the thread. So I'm just pausing every little bit just so you guys know exactly where I'm at. I'm just kind of getting my fingers out of the way if they were blocking your view. So I just, I came from this, went across, went down, then went this way around. Now I'm going to go down and basically we're done. I'm not going to go any further with loops and things. The thread should be very secure at this point because we've gone around these beads, and so I don't think we need to go around some more. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread here and keep misplacing my scissors. So I'm using my wire cutter, but it does the trick, so it doesn't matter. And it actually gets pretty close to the beadwork. Okay, guys. All right. So here we are with our loop. It's all done. Nice little fancy loop we got here. Kind of reminds me of a light bulb shape. And so here's the two. Now to add our rondelles. So I think I mentioned this earlier. You want to use a bead that's got a round shape. Bicones is just not going to work here because of how they're sitting. I think you might have a hard time with bicones. You can try it. I haven't tried it at all, but I would say either rondelles or 4mm rounds. So you want a pearl. Pearl would be great with this, I think. So you want something round and shape that they'll sit together nicely. All right, so let's continue. I need to thread my, need to put needles on my thread. So I'm gonna do it on one side and then we can continue. All right, so I'm ready to show you the next part. Now what I did was I actually went ahead and removed my stopper beads, and so all you're doing is just going back through the beads to undo them. So I just took them off both. You're gonna have one bead here that's loose, and that's okay, don't worry about it. I'm gonna move one thread aside. I've got a needle on one, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick up 3 of my rondelle beads, just like this. And I'm going to put my earring over here so it's out of the way. Obviously I'm left-handed, so that's why it's in the way. Anyway, you're going to go through that loose bead on the opposite side. And bring everything together, like so. And let's get that out of the way. I had a purpose for not tying that off, so if it's going to annoy you, I'm sorry about that, but there's a reason for it. Now go through that 15-0. Sorry. Lost my grip on the needle there. Okay. And I'm going to turn the work this way. So I'm coming out of that 15-0. I'm going to go ahead and pick up 3 of my other beads. I'm going to go into the 15-0 here, and then down and through the 11-0 on that opposite side. So the pieces come together. It's loose, so we're gonna tighten all that up in a second. And now we want to add our little dangle part. So to do that, you want to go through this first rondelle. You pick up your 2 11-0s, a rondelle, then 3 11-0s, and you bring them down. You skip over these 3, go through the rondelle, and they're going to make that little picot shape, and then you go and pick up 2 of the 11-0s, and we're going to go into the rondelle that's over here. Just like that, and there we have it. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to skip over. We're not going to go back through these 2 beads. I'm actually going to go directly into the rondelle bead here. What that's going to do is bring everything closer together. Just like that, and go through the next 2 rondelles. And on this side, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to skip over those 2 and go into your rondelle instead. So this was another reason why I didn't I suggested not using bicones. Okay, so now we get to tie off, and what I'm going to do is go down into this dangle part and tie off my thread there. So go ahead and make your half hitch there, and go through these 3 beads. Like so. And because my thread is short, you can tie another knot. So you can do another half hitch right here or over here. My thread's a little bit short, so I might not be able to do it. So I'm going to go through that rondelle. And the 2 11-0s, and go ahead and tie off right one more knot there. So one of the tricks I use when my thread is too short is go into the hole, into the loop backwards, and that sometimes helps it helps me get it through. And then go into the rondelle, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off there and then tie off my other thread. Okay, that's done. Last step is to tie this off. So basically what we're going to do is make half hitch knots in the rondelles. That's all I'm going to do with this thread. So go into the rondelle here. I'm going to tie a half hitch right there. It's between the two rondelles. And go into this next rondelle and do another one. Go into the rondelle. Nope, the thread is wrapped. There we go. Go into this rondelle. Tie my third half hitch. And go through the next two rondelles. So this also reinforced all of these beads again, and then back down through the rondelle. And we get to cut off. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. And there we are, our piece is done. And here's my other one. Here's the ear loop. Alright guys, here it is, completed piece. What do you think? I hope you guys liked it. It's actually, they make them quick. They're just a little complicated when it comes to assembling the pieces together. So that's why I think this is a little bit, as I said earlier, a little more of a intermediate to advanced project. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next tutorial. I guess I'll be making a necklace to go with our little set that I've started.